Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Craps with John at Pro Craps here. So, yeah, I missed the day yesterday, but we had some family things where I was moving my sister. So, sorry about that. But good things happened yesterday. I saw that a couple things. Jacob from Wager Me This has got a couple of videos out, which is great to see him back. He's moved from Colorado back home. Good to see him there and getting settled and comfortable back again, which is great. I just love Jacob's commentary. And Greg from 555 Craps put a video out yesterday. It looks like it's one video that'll have to last us a while because he's going to go offline for a bit, it sounds like. But the interesting thing about those two guys, to me, they're both, and I use the word a lot, Craps royalty. They're both, I have an amazing amount of respect for them. And I put them in high regard for a couple of reasons. One is they both kind of do it the same way. The difference between Greg and Jacob is that, and I think it highlights in their videos that they went out just today with, or just yesterday with, was Jacob put out this video where he says the only way to win is to be aggressive. And he actually had a really good aggressive rollout, which was fun to watch and cool to see. Greg comes out with, hey, the only way to win at craps is to be, safe, low, not so much grind, but just play it safe. Like, be safe with your money. Greg's message is always, I want to protect your money. Jacob's message is always, I want you to win money. They're the same end goal, I think. It's about how we get there. And the interesting thing is, and like I said, I resonate with both of them to some degree. I find myself in the middle a little bit where I play safe, but I'm aggressive. I'm aggressively safe, I suppose. And you'll notice that if you haven't had a chance to yet, get the podcast. The podcast dropped the other day. It's out there on iTunes and Spotify, I guess. I'll put the video version of it out here later this week. But I made mention of kind of my story in that podcast. And I said, the reason why I play the way I play, which is a hybrid system, I play a very much of a hybrid game. I am aggressive, but with a safety net. And I like to, the other day we talked about regression. I like to regress a little bit so that I'm playing with profits, never my own money. I like to play with my own money for very short periods of time and play with profits the rest of the time, so I can feel like I can be aggressive without putting the family or my bankroll at risk. That's the way that I play. Greg, plays it a little differently. He doesn't have the safety net, but the way he plays is a safety net, is the way he would probably describe that. And Jacob, of course, the 6, 7, 8 strategy that he puts out there is like a built-in safety net. I'm going to talk about that one today a little bit. We're going to talk about spreading our money around today, but Jacob's 6, 7, 8 reminds me a lot of the way that I played when I first started. And I was reminded of that, not from Jacob's video, but from watching John Patrick's interview with Garrison the other night. If you happen to see John Patrick get interviewed by Garrison, the interview itself was a little bit of a train wreck, right? There was technical problems and we couldn't hear that much, but I grew up and I was weaned on watching John Patrick's videos. And one of John Patrick's main strategies, which he talked about on the show, was do we don't, where you hunt the odds. Does that sound familiar? Because I do that all the time. I usually play don't pass, hunt the odds down, and then I played a come bet, going to a number, and I hunt the odds down. I got that as my take on, or my spread from what Patrick's basic teachings were, which was those odds, right? And that's what he liked to do. The do we don't with taking odds on the 6 and the 8, and then he just plays 6 and the 8. Super simple, right? He was like, the mathematical way to play this game is to find the hottest or the most likely event to happen, which is the 6 and the 8 being hit during a roll, the 7 being hit to end every single roll. And at some point in the middle there, you might catch a little bit of something else. John was never a spread it out kind of a guy. Okay, I am to some degree, Jacob is, and Greg for sure is not. The interesting thing though, is that you'll notice that the amount of respect that you see, it's kind of here and here, right? Jacob made mention of this the other day directly. He talked about people jumping on King Dice's crap, which is true. You'll see people, that guy's very polarizing, right? And there are some polarizing folks out there. And Jacob made the comment that, hey, let's be men about this. Let's not sink to his level and crucify the poor guy out there in public. There's no need for that. We can be bigger, better people than that. And I think he's right about that. And I think it's a point that's not always remembered, right? We're all grown-ups here. in my podcast, I mentioned that as well. Not that exact incident, but I talk about, they had that section in there called the douchebag of the day or whatever. And the douchebags that I talk about in the podcast this past episode are people at the table that are celebrating taking somebody else's money or giving somebody else crap about their strategy, which I see that all the time. I see people constantly judging me or other people about what they're doing. What somebody else is doing with their money is not your concern. It's their concern. You can have fun at the table without being an ass about it, I suppose, right? And I think that bleeds into online. We see that a lot in the comment sections, in the videos we have. I see it all the time. And God, don't get me started on Reddit. Reddit's ridiculous for that. And in some of the discussion forums that I belong to as well, you'll see a lot of just super negativity or like knee jerk, you're an ass kind of reactions, and worse things get said than that. What you all don't see is the comments that come through our channels. YouTube's got a way to screen comments out, and it's a box that I check, and it just says, take or hide inappropriate comments for review. And I get as many comments that you see on the channel as fall into that category. And a lot of that ends up being porn and other crap, but a lot of it is just people swearing at each other. And I got news for you, there's no place for that. YouTube automatically kind of nukes some of that stuff so we don't have to worry about it. Some of it bleeds through. Some of it I read carefully and I'll say, well, if there's a point to be made there, I'll let the comment go through. Without being, censoring, I try not to do that. But, you got to be careful. I mean, people, and the point that I make on the podcast is this: every comment that you make, somebody else is on the receiving end of that comment, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, ugly, attack mode, whatever it is. So I like the fact that Jacob and Greg are complete opposites in terms of how they play. Super safe, super aggressive right now. Yet there's this kind of cool respect between them, and you don't see them sniping, which is great. They're actually really good friends. So I do like to see that when it happens. And the podcast has and I made it, the first podcast I talked about it, about growing the game by being more welcoming. And I talked about how COVID's kind of screwed the world up here and given us this license to be assholes. And I feel like and I've always felt this way, right? The keyboard, I'll show you my keyboard. The keyboard has done the same thing, right? When I've been in online communities and forums most of my adult life. Keyboards make people very brave, and you got to be careful about that because there's somebody over here reading it, right? So just so you know, I feel strongly about that, and I want to keep what we have going here going, right? I get really good. Probably 90% of what I get is great from everybody. There's 10% that really I think is on the edge, and I think we need to remember that. It's an important piece to remember that we're all playing on the same team, right? It's a King Dice phrase. We're all on the same team. We're all trying to take casinos' money. We're not trying to take each other's money. We're not trying to do that. So let's kind of, keyboard warriors, Duracell. You got to be worried, not worried. You got to be aware of that. And like I said, there's a lot of folks that receive that in different ways. So that's an important piece to remember. That said, I want to jump on the topic of house money again. And I got to change. I did it last week too. I didn't change my title. I'll do it in front of you here. I'll change the title. This is going to be, I love the title of today's episode, Bread Makes You Spread. If you're married and have a wife, or you have daughters, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say bread makes you spread. My wife tells my daughter that all the time. Like, don't eat so much bread. But we're going to try and spread out. Hey, Brian, good morning there. And by the way, I'm remiss by not saying good morning to most people. I see that PSO is here. Waylon's here, of course. Michael's here. Albert's here. Duracell. Buckeye Slim is here. Good to see you. And Dice Jedi first into the mix. Great to have everybody here. Let's talk about spreading our money around. So I'm going to the table, and I want to give you kind of an example of this. And I think what I want to talk through is this notion of, again, we keep talking through this idea of house money. And the other day, my point was playing with house money in terms of regressing down. And the regression systems are largely pointed at getting you to play fully on house money, or getting your entire bet sequence paid for by your wins. That's a regression system. And to do that, you've got to put risk out there. You've got to go out there for at least 1 or 2 hits at a higher than table minimum bet to make that work. Okay, that's kind of the key tenet of it to make that happen. But you end up with good bets, right? If you end up with, we did kind of, if you did like a, I don't know, let's do like a 110 inside like that, and you took a hit at 25, 35 bucks and brought all of this back down, right? Take all that down and spread yourself across, then your hit pays for your action. And that's the idea of regression. Today, what we're going to talk about, though, is more spreading it around. And I'm not necessarily going to regress when I do this. I'm just going to drop bets out there, and we're going to spread out a little bit. So first things first, I want to show you and remind you of what I alluded to earlier, which is the Patrick system. And we'll do it at the quarter level. And what Patrick did was exactly that. His ideas, and again, John Patrick is got to be, God, he's got to be 90 years old by now. I mean, and he sounded like he was the exact same before. Patrick was do we don't. That's where, I mean, people have been doing it for years. He made it famous. He had a video out where he talked about the do we don't. My casinos don't let me do this. This is an illegal bet here in Washington, so I can't do it. And I've actually abandoned this strategy completely because you can't do it here. But that's where he starts everything at. And what John wanted was to play the odds on the extremes. So let's roll a number here. Let's get a 9. So the 9 is a good example. He viewed the 5 and the 9 as non-power numbers. They're not. They're just in the middle. The 5 and 9 are literally Jan Brady. They're like nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. They're just boring numbers that have they're a 4 to 6 chance to lose. They're not strong. He would never take odds or lay odds on them. He didn't feel strong enough either way about those numbers, and he would ignore it and just let these two bets resolve. Actually, John also would do this. He would also go out here at the $25 level with $1 on the boxcars. In this way, on the come out roll, you can't lose. You're going to lose $1 at worst on the come out roll. If the number gets set, you're going to win $4 if the boxcars hit. So that's the Patrick way to beat the come out. And then he would go with generally table minimum on the 6 or the 8. So we'll do a $14 6 and 8 with the buck in the rack. And that was his way, right? Let's get to a place where I could be aggressive on either the pass or don't pass based on the point, and then go after the most common numbers, which would be the 6 or the 8. And that was his entire way of playing. Now, if the number came out, let's just say we had a 6 as the point. Let's say the 6 was the point. What he would do is not place the 6, of course. And then he would go in and take, usually he would say 2 times, and at the time he put the videos out, 3x odds was the most common thing. He would put 75 behind the line and really go after the 6, most likely single odds, right? To keep your exposure relatively low. But he's got the 6 and the 8 working for him. And he would let the thing roll out. And John's way of playing, and John, I know Greg never mentions John Patrick, but I know Greg plays a lot of the same ways, which is let's play the percentages, let's play low, and frankly, if the 8 hits, which is the most likely box number to hit, if we get an 8 that comes out and we take our $14, Patrick would often just do this, just take it to the rack and walk away. Right? Pull my 8 down and walk away. And that'd be it. 1 hit and down. 1 hit and down on the number. Or maybe he would say, let them each hit once and come down. Now he's playing for the 6 and he's out of here, right? I showed you the Butterberg the other day. This is reminiscent of that. And that's the Patrick way of doing this was like, hey, I'm not here to hit 5 blackjacks in a row. And when you see somebody saying to you, we're going to press the 6 from 25 or from 30 to 60, from 60 to 90, from 90 to 120, from 120 to 240, you're asking for 6 blackjacks in a row. It makes sense, right? It's really tough to do at a blackjack table. It's even harder to do here at a craps table. And so Patrick was like, hey, let's just play this thing straight. We'll just go for the 2, we'll play the do we don't. We'll take a look at what comes out, and let's say that we get a 3 or a 4. Let's say the 4 is the number. Patrick's way, on the 4, we'll lay it. We'll lay it for 2x. Right? And that would be his thing. He would hunt down the 4 or the 10, lay the odds. He would hunt down the 6 or 8, take the odds, and he'd only play 6 or the 8 and just play it straight. Right? That's basically Jacob's 6, 7, 8. But Patrick did it with surviving the come out and using odds as the way to make money on the don't pass, and or hunting down this. And that was the simplest way to play. I think it's a really cool way of looking at it. Now, today we're going to look at something different. Today, what I want to look at is ways that we can get to spread our wins. And I think it's very, very easy to think about. And again, it brings up to me the idea of playing with house money, which is, let's just use the simplest possible example. We'll take the $12.06, $12.08, and let's just roll. Let's just leave them, the puck's off, bets are off. We'll roll it out, come out 7, we don't care. Another come out 7, again, on the back wall, I should be. I'll roll from farther away, how about that? We'll get a 4, sweet. Point's gonna be a 4. Now, if we get hits on these, the idea would be slowly spread out, okay? So each hit becomes, well, there's nothing. You got to wait here for the good ones. There's a 10. Let's see if we can get something to pop here. If not, I'll talk you through it. Another 10, boy, oh boy. There's a 6, perfect. So 6 pays 14. Okay, we tell the dealer, give me the insert number here, give me the 5, right? In our case, what I'd probably do if I was playing this, actually I'd probably give myself the 10 because of how many I rolled just now, but pick up another number with the win and you're spreading out. And what you end up with is at least one paid for bet. There's the 4, that's the point. Bets will be off. And again, we're playing relatively safely here. There's a 9 for the new point. That rolled, that was a 9. I'd probably move this to here at that point. There's another 6. Again, we'll pay 14 for that 6. And what do you do this time with it? Okay, what do? You either pick up the point if you're not playing the pass line, which makes good sense. Now I've got $8 in ones in my rack, right? I have 8 here. The next hit, I can grab another number, and we're starting to increase the number of targets that we've got. And the nice thing about it is that these 2 bets are fully paid for, right? You're still at the same risk though. Notice the difference between this and the regression system is that here I've picked up additional numbers, new targets. There's our 7 out, but I'm at the same risk level because I didn't bring it down. I didn't regress my bet, and you can't regress a table minimum bet. You're looking to spread, and my risk level was only ever 24, and I got extra targets from it. That's the very nature, I think, of spreading out. So you take your wins, grab other numbers with them. Now we can do it on a regression system as well and kind of combine the 2 ideas here. And something like this, you can, and if you think about doing it at like maybe 2x your regular bet. So if you had like a $24, 6 and 8, let's get those set up for you. There's $24.06, $24.08. And in one hit of these, you can grab and go more inside or across. Here we go. Let's just see what happens here. We take this, the new point will be nothing yet. Okay, great. The point's gonna, in fact, be 8 here, which is fine. We have a bet on the point. So what? If you're bypassing the come out roll, that's totally fine. Let's get something beside the 7 here. I think we hit the point, right? Is that a 5-3? That is a 5-3-8. Sorry, I was having my coffee. 5-3-8. So what does that pay? I'll pay it in red and white. 24 pays 28. Okay. With that one win, you can now go across. You can take all this down. You can get the 6 and the 8 down to, I think we can go, actually, we can probably get to the $18 level here. We get to 15 on the 5, 15 on the 9. And with one hit, you've spread out with a small regression. And now the next hit on something else, because those will all pay 21. So you'll need another inside hit here if we can get it. We don't, but I'll draw it out for you anyway. Let's say that we had an inside hit. Let's say it was a 6. The 15 there pays 21. And you can grab the 4 and the 10. And within a couple of hits, you've spread your bets out. Your initial risk is the same. It's still that, what we had, 48 bucks out there. It's still a $48 risk, but you've got all the numbers covered now, right? And that's the idea of spreading it out and taking the, what do you call house money, your profits, whatever you want to call them. New point will be a 6, by the way. Taking that house money and spreading out to get more targets. And now you employ whatever system you're going to employ. You can go with a regression, we've already kind of regressed. We can go up and pull here. And again, to stay on the John Patrick theme, if we did that, there's a 5, pays 21, right? Up and put the rest in your rack. Okay, and just again, we'll follow the Patrick methodology here and just pull profit every single time, yet press up in slow increments. Because again, if you're gonna do a full press on a number, you're expecting it to hit again. And again, it's like hitting blackjack multiple times in a row. It just doesn't happen, right? To hit the 5 once in any one throw, right? There's like a 30% chance this number ever gets hit, or I'm sorry, 24% chance that this number ever gets hit in a row. Once. So pressing it a full press to get it twice, man, that's a big ask. And that's why I think spreading can make more sense to play with, because you want more targets, because you don't know which one of those is going to be the one that hits once or twice as fast as you can, with, again, a little bit of regression built into that to kind of get yourself across. So that would be, I guess, the simplest way to explain that. So let's go ahead and roll it out again. I'm going to go ahead and start from 0 here. And let's do the simplest possible thing. Let's go with we'll do a $500 bankroll here. And I'm just going to go 48, 24, 6, 24, 8, and we'll try and spread it out that simple way. Take 2 units and make it across. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, I'm going to get 50 bucks. We'll do 5 shooters. So it's 250, not 5. We'll do 250 bucks in our bankroll. Let's get those things separated out. We'll do 5 shooters, 48 bucks per shooter. And I might even take that $2. In fact, I will, and grab the hard ways with it. So let's go ahead and get a point established first. Point will be 6. Let's get a $24 6, $24 8. So 4 units on each. Nice and simple. We'll take our $2 change. I will grab the hard 6 and hard 8 with the $2, and I'm 50 bucks in for the shooter. And again, our goal is going to be to spread it out. Our goal is going to be to take a hit or 2, get across at a slightly lower minimum, and then we'll do a simple same bet or up and pull as we go. There's going to be the 8 as our first number, which is awesome. So we can go right away. We'll lose our hard 8 here. That's fine. That's going to pay 28. I'll pay it in reds. There's 25. And 3. There's 28. We'll take these down to $15. So it'll be 18.6, 18.8, with one small little regression there that we'll go down to. We can grab the 5 and the 9 for 15 bucks each. And I've got $10 going back to my rack as profit. Okay, so I brought a little bit back. I'll take and I'll replace the hard 8 just because. And now I've got the inside numbers bet at the $15 level. One more hit on any one of those pays for the 4 and 10. It takes me 2 hits now to get across. And again, I'm using what you would call, quote unquote, house money to get it done. There's the 5, that pays 21. We'll take that and we'll go to a $10 4, a $10 10. I'll put the 1 in the bank. I have $10 in profit now. In the bank, I've got $10 in profit. If I were to pull all that down, remember I started out with $48. What have I got here? I've got 60 on the inside. I got 66 inside, 76, 86 bucks out here. I started out with 48. So if you wanted to pull this down right now, you would show a profit. Again, my point from the other day, if the money's out there on the table and it's flat on the table, it's yours. But we're using it to go across. Here's a 9 that pays 21. Okay, we're gonna go up and pull a small profit. And that's it. We'll play this very simple. We'll go again. I got John Patrick on the brain here. We're gonna go 1 unit up, pull the rest back to the rack. There's a 6 that also pays 21. I'm gonna be out of reds here in a minute. That pays 21. Okay, we'll take that up to 30. So we'll take 6 bucks here. We'll put 15 in the rack. We'll make this 6 look like 30 now. I'm sorry, 24. I jumped the gun. It's 24, not 30. Let's do the math. After this shot, we'll look at and do some quick math together. I think it's important to do. There's a 4. That's great. That's going to pay. Need a red chip over here. It's going to pay 18 bucks. Okay. What I'll do with the 4, what I typically do is I'll press both the 4 and the 10 with it to get a little bit of extra juice and come back to the rack. And again, let's set ourselves up here. See where we are. There is 25. I'm going to go ahead and take these whites and get a nickel for them because I'm a little short actually on the house side over here. We'll get a nickel. Okay. So I've got in my rack now almost where I started. I'm 25, 35, 45. There is the $48 I started with. So my rack is even. Okay, I've got my shooter back that we started with. I think I lost a hard 6 along the way in here too. My shooter is back. My rack is set, which means what? If my rack is set and I've got my actual money back that I started the shooter with, right? This is effectively another shot. I can put it right back there and say I'm ready to go for the next play. My rack is even. What does that tell you about what's here? And I got to remember this. I worked really hard for that. This roll has already broken probability. We've already gotten more than 6 hits all told. We're beyond where we should be here. And I've got 15, 30, 45, 60, what is that? 75 and 20, 95 plus the whites. I got almost 100 bucks out there on the table. If I pull all that down, that's profit. What's out here right now, 100% of it is considered profit once you get your shooter money back. Don't forget this when you're in the heat, right, of being aggressive Jacob, right? You've got your money back. And now this is 100% profit. When Jacob says that it's hard to go to the casino and win 100 bucks every day, which he tried to do, it is hard to do that. John Patrick teaches the same. It's hard to go and win 100 bucks every day. Ken, I know you're here. I think you're here, unless you left for work. Ken knows gambling. We'll tell you the same thing. It's hard to go and be a professional gambler, to go and win 100 bucks every day, all day long. And if you want to add a 0 to it, because your bankroll is bigger, you buy in for 2K, you're looking to win 1,000. Great. It's hard to do. I just turned 50 bucks into 100 right here, and I see somebody saying it's not enough. It's not for me. You know what? That's enough for me. You got to realize that you've done work here. This is hard. Turning 50 into 150, 100% profit, 200% profit. That's hard work that you got done. You got to remember, this is the Greg side of me coming out. The Greg side of me says, get this the hell off the table and put it in your rack. Okay. The Jacob side of me says, oh my God, this is a great roll. Take advantage of it. When you have a chance, take advantage. Now that I'm even in my rack, I might take advantage of it. Okay. But remember, that's house money. That's profits. You're playing right now with profits, and we have a horn number come out. And what do horn numbers typically indicate? Not that there's anything to this, but horn numbers always mean you know what is coming, knocking at the door. There's an 8, and that's awesome, actually. 21 bucks. Okay, we can go up by 1 unit. We'll pull 15. Now we're in actual profits, right? Now we're like an actual, there's our $24 6, or $24 6 and 8, both. We'll lose this one, and we're good. We're actually finally showing profit in our rack. Now, oh, I'm sorry. Waylon, I turned around and I just saw, not for me. I'm like, okay, is that because my eyes are catching things? Here we are. Now we're in really, really, really good shape. This is a good time. And again, if you read Patrick's book, I'll show it to you here in a minute, the Advanced Craps book. Read the book. He says when you get to 4 units or when you're at double, as soon as you hit double table minimum on any bet, when you go up and pull, up and pull, up and pull, which is a great way to do it. Once you hit double table minimum, that's the time you pull it back down. This is the time that you get out of here on the bet. So our 9 is at 20 bucks. Our 6 and 8 are both at double table minimum. He would say to you, you got to pull those bets down. John was never a guy that would try and press the table max, right? So this is a good time to say, make my 4 and 10 look like 10, dealer, pull them down. Make my 5 and 9 look like 10, dealer. We'll take 1 off the 5 and 2 off the 9. Make my 6 and 8 look like 12, dealer. These come down to 12. And you have now done both. You have taken your profits and spread, you've realized new profits and you've regressed down to where it makes sense. And right what I have here, there is, if I take this, that's 50 bucks. That is 2 green chips and a little bit of white. Look at that. Not only have you earned back the money that you started with, you have another full shooter in the rack. I'll put this here. We'll put that. Actually, that was 4 bucks. There is 2 full shooters, right? I'll put that one in the back because it makes visual sense there for us. Come on. Sorry for my head being in the way. There we go. So you've got your initial 5. You have a new shooter here that you can actually play with freely and excess profit. And you're sitting in here, right? Yeah. So there you go. Roll to win. You were so right, Ed. That's great. He called John Patrick's great. If you got to watch his videos, if you don't do it his way, you're a dork. And it's funny about him is he names everybody. He's got a name for every weird player. Like if you're the guy that's going to the ceiling, what does he call you, Ed? I'll let you type it in there. If you're pressing to the ceiling, he's got a name for you. One of his best friends. Anyway, here we are. We're regressed. We have guaranteed profit, right? We have shown our win goal would be an extra shooter, and our profit, we've actually got extra profit that we're playing with, plus what's out here. There's a 10. And again, that's going to pay 18 bucks. We'll just take 20 for 2, actually. Right? And at this point, you could be aggressive, or you can follow the same pattern. Go to 3. 3 on the 4 and 10. Rack 10 bucks, and just play this thing out. We'll play this out till it's a 7, and we'll see how we do here. 9. Awesome. 21, same thing. 9 goes to 15 now. We'll rack the difference. And again, I'll start separating here. There's a quarter in reds plus 2. So 9's now at 3. The 4 and 10 are now at 3. And once they get the double table minimum, we'll start pulling. We'll just do it again. There she is. You see that 5, how that thing bounced off the sidewall, crushed over, and hit the other one and made itself a 7. So we did good there. We did really good work. Now, some of you, I believe, would have done better. I'm not going to deny that. You would have done better than me with those number of rolls. I think we hit the 6 3 times on that, maybe 4. Right? Would have done better. We left how much on the table? 75 bucks. Almost 80 bucks on the table. Those are actual stacks of 5 right there. So almost 80 bucks on the table. Could have been in our rack had we pulled it down. Patrick probably would have pulled that down. But using table winnings to spread out left us with, or got us to a point where we had more coverage at the same initial risk. That's the idea of spreading your profits. Then we employed a nice safe system to get us up to a profit point, made sure we pulled it out and got down again. I think there's a beauty in that I think Patrick talks about all the time. And like I said, Greg, from the don't side, talks about that all the time. And I think to me, we have to remember that. And I want to make sure that I'll show you the book here. Here's the book, by the way. John Patrick's Advanced Craps. It's the green book. There's a couple of green books. There's the green craps book here. This thing is fantastic. I'll show you from where this is. Sorry, I should have this ready to go here. From this section, I'm about, not prop systems, not the field. Here we are, field play system. I'm on page 329 of the book. There's the field place system, right? This book that has that many more pages in it. It goes from that page to like page 575. Every page, it's literally a 1-pager, right? There's setting the field. There's 2 pages of it, and that's it. There's 250 pages of different ways to play strategy, of the field system, the martingale system, all the things that he talks about. There's got to be 100 of them in there. That's just one of them. But his teachings, the way that he comes at this thing is the way that, I think we need to be thinking about it. You want to play on profits as early as you can. He was a big believer in what I say, which is get same bet the first time, right? I generally speaking, when I'm doing a bet like that, I'll same bet the first one. And I told you this way back. I say, don't press a bet you haven't paid for. That's one of my sayings. And that comes from this, which is get that bet paid for, right? You put $48 at risk. If one of them hits, I can put 24 back in my rack. I got half my risk is covered. If I get a second hit, half my risk is covered, or the other half is covered. Now I'm clean. Now you can press. And John's not saying press all the way. John is saying up and pull, up and pull, up and pull. If the 6 hits 3 times and you increase it by $6 each time, you're always pulling 20, 24, or 20, 28, $36 out of it every single time. That's beautiful versus pressing it 3 times and collecting nothing when the 7 comes. So I really like the way that he talks through that. And you got to remember that that's important. And you always racking. And I'll leave you with this last thought, which is at that one point when I got my even when I wasn't quite at even, right? When I had $25 in my rack that I'd pulled off the table and I had $80 or $93 out there, whatever it was, across, that was all profit. Again, it's on the table, it's laying flat, it's yours. Notice that we just told the dealer, make it look like, press it up, whatever. That's your money that you're playing with. Remember that. So at any point in time, when your rack and what's on the table adds up to more than what you started with for that shooter, the difference there is profit. And you gotta pull that in as soon as you can. I like the idea of double the minimum, pull it down, double the minimum, pull it down, and just use a nice safe system, kind of a Greg style thing to do that. I think that's a better way, not a better way, that's the wrong word to use. It's a safer way to play. It's a way that you can be more assured that you're gonna walk away with money. If you're more aware of what you started with, and again, you know me, I'm a maniac in the rack, right? I know where I am all the time. The second that I'm at even, I'll pull a little bit and I start going from there. And I think that's the way to do it. So with that said, I was glad to see Greg back this week, even for a short period of time. I hope everything is well with you. Really glad to see Jacob back. I think Jacob ups the level. I talk about this again in podcasts, right? I talk about guys upping the level that I try and reach every day. I think Jacob does that to a great degree. Jacob is really good at just throwing the dice and talking. I think when I do that, I feel like I'm modeling my inner Jacob. I love to throw the dice and talk about what's happening there. I think it's fun. Glad he's back. Glad he's got things set back up again. Looking forward to more from him. And Greg, hope all is well with you. And remember what I said at the start here, right? About being grown-ups. I say this in the podcast this week. Douchey behavior is what it is. That segment of that show, the podcast, really I think it's fun to talk about douchebags, but it bums me out that we have to. It bums me out that we even have to have the conversation about, keyboard warriors and guys at the table trying to make other people lose. And it's a bunch of crap. And I hate that we even have to have the conversations, but we do, apparently. So that's that, guys. Have fun, be safe, win money, do all the things. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a fun one, Brian. We may jump into a little bit of the easy tomorrow. We'll see. Tomorrow, I want to talk about strategies that are strategies, which is, in other words, putting money out there in one configuration so that you can do something different with it. And everything to me turns into an across bet. It's like, can I go 6 and 8 and make it an across bet in 1 hit or 2 hits? Sure, I can. Can I go the easy and make it an across bet? Sure, I can. Can I go with the traditional iron cross and turn that into an across bet? Sure, I can. And that's tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to look at taking different ways of playing, maybe highly aggressive ways of playing, so that you can play something more safe. And that'll close out our house money week. So with that said, I'll see you tomorrow. Again, keep the date open, November 27th, 28th for the 24-hour Crapsathon. More details to come next week. I'll be doing a lot of previews on that, but we'll see you there. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to go ahead and put this up here. The option 70, Brian. Yeah, we might play the option 70 tomorrow. We'll see. I definitely like the idea of doing one thing to do something totally different. And yeah, I'm going to put this up here too because it's funny. Stop complaining, Ed. Your arm will only hurt if you throw monster rolls. Truth. Ed actually has a story to tell. Ed got booted, right? You got booted off the table at Bally's. Is that right? Was it Bally's that booted you off? That's kind of crap. How do I say this? How do I say this the right way? Casinos, everybody, David at Casino Quest, the guys at Sin City, they always make fun. Dice control's bullshit. Everything's random. There's no such thing as dice control. Yet, when somebody gets on a monster roll like Ed was probably on, 4 bets to four to the fire, I think he was on that table. All of a sudden, you don't get to set the dice anymore. Interesting. I know Ed can set fast. It isn't because of time. It's because Ed was winning, and they don't like, God forbid you take a casino's money. So anyway, that's it. Y'all have a good day. Ed, I'm looking forward to talking to you later. Share your story at some point. I want to hear what got said there for sure. Have a good one all. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.